Welcome to the podcast, everybody. And by everybody, I mean maybe the one person that finds this on Spotify. And if you are listening, my name is Jeremiah Adams. And I guess I'll start by telling you about myself. Right now, as you're listening, I am 39 years old. And this is the first episode of The Way I See It. And a little bit about this podcast is this is a standalone podcast where I can kind of vent, talk about myself, talk about my thoughts and my views on things. And the first episode of this podcast, I'm going to be diving into the messy magic of starting something like this podcast. This is the first episode of my first podcast, and I'm doing it alone. Mainly for the mere fact that I've always wanted to start a podcast, and I've always wanted to do a podcast with my friends, but or even my family, my son and my wife, which I'll get into later. But my son really isn't too psyched about it. When I first started to bring that to his attention, I told him, "Hey, man, I want to do a podcast." And as you get older, you age and you kind of, give your perspective on things as you get older from, being little to now. And it just never really happened. And I mean, he's not a very extroverted person. I mean, he has a lot of energy. He is a smart, funny kid, but he just doesn't really care about social media or doing anything in the public eye. And my wife is very much the same way. In the way that she is she likes to keep things private. She doesn't want to put so much out there that people can find her and start, understanding her, or people would, you know, take what she says out of context, or she doesn't really want to be in the public view. Um, you know, Big grand gestures kind of embarrass her, and she doesn't like a lot of attention or a lot of eyes on her. So that's perfectly understandable. So like I said, this first podcast, this first episode is going to be about starting something. And like I said, whether it's a new project or a career or personal change, taking the first step can feel like the hardest part. In this episode, I'll unpack the fears, the myths, and the lies we tell ourselves to delay that initial leap. I'll share, some experiences with you from my own life. What I've learned from failing forward, and why your first version of whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's your first drawing or your first painting or your first school project, it isn't going to be perfect. And if you've been waiting for a sign to start, this is it. Whatever you've been thinking about doing, that little idea that kind of sparks in the back of your head, that tiny little spark, that one little, spark is going to ignite the flame that could be the rest of your life, or not. And that's okay, because there's a lot of fear of starting something. And I know the fear because I myself have that same fear around starting something. Like now, like this very moment, as I'm doing this podcast, as I'm talking to you, the listener, whoever you may be, I feared doing this whole standalone podcast because I've heard other podcasters digging in their own thoughts, or diving into their own subconscious, and it really isn't for me. But there's definitely a community that likes to listen to that person find themselves, and that's what I'm doing. I'm finding myself. And when I'm starting something, it gives me this anxiety, right? Like that's what usually holds people back is is that fear, that anxiety, right? Usually, most common fears circulate around failure, right? Judgment, and imposter syndrome. And that's sort of the things that kind of grip us from taking that big leap, that holds us back, right? Like, oh my God, I'm gonna make this thing, and I'm gonna show it to 10 people, 20 people, or I'm gonna approach the boss with an idea, and he's just gonna shut me down, and or I'm gonna make this class project and it has to be perfect, and then you end up not doing it and you get the bad grade, or you get the incomplete, or even the fact that you have like a talent show coming up, or some sort of thing that you have to do. People are going to judge you or not judge you. To be honest with you, I feel, and the way I see it, is that most people truly do care about themselves. So that being said, why would they care so much about what you do? Matter of fact, the only reason we perceive other people as judges, or think that people are judging us, is because we ourselves, we judge others so harshly. But I think it's because we project, right? We project our own fears and insecurities. Like, for instance, whenever you see somebody doing something cringe, like the guy at the bar hitting on the girl and is leaning in way too hard, and you're like, oh God, this is so fucking cringe. I'll be honest with you. I hate that. I'm like, dude, you need to like back off, right? Or when you see the one kid in class, doing something so stupid, and he, not literally, or maybe he does fall flat on his face, hypothetically speaking. And then you're like, oh, you feel crushed, but then you're also like, oh, that's what he gets for trying so hard. Sometimes you can't judge others by how hard they're trying or what they're doing, because at the end of the day, we all want to achieve something. We all want to try something and have that experience and add it to our list of experiences. And to be honest with you, when you see somebody else reaching, instead of saying, hey, good job, or nice try, or oh, it's too bad that it didn't work out, you tend to judge because you adopt their failures as your own, and then you're like in your own head about it. But that's the most common thing to do, because we as a society, I say we, I mean most Americans, we have a herd mentality. We see somebody fall down, and one person starts to laugh, and then two people start to laugh, and then three people start to laugh, and then 10 people are laughing, and all of a sudden you're laughing, but then you feel conflicted. And then you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't have laughed. That's so messed up. And you feel shitty. But anyways, that's kind of like my analogy on why we judge others so harshly, because we also judge ourselves so harshly, right? If you take a moment to step back and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put on roller skates, because I'm terrible. Me personally, I'm terrible at roller skating. I'm going to put on roller skates, and I'm going to do my very best to stand up and roll like a human being on this roller rink floor without falling on my ass. And then take a beefer, like literally fall so hard I don't want to get back up. Just put a cone on me and let me lay there. You have to. You kind of have to allow yourself to make that crucial mistake, fall down, and then choose to get back up. Because at the end of the day, you're if you sit down and you do nothing, that's going to be your entire life. And for me, like, for instance, I started this t-shirt brand. I wanted to start a t-shirt brand. I wanted to do something in like style, or I liked the fashion aspect of business, and I wanted to start a brand. And I did it in 2020 in the face of COVID, in the face of adversity, and there was so much more going on than COVID in my personal life, my marriage, and my job. And I tried so hard, and I had, a website, I had an Instagram, I even went as far as making a few sales, and then I failed. To close it all up in a nice little package, I did as much as I could to succeed, and I failed. And from that moment that I failed, I had to close it all down and shut it all down. I struggled with doing it. Matter of fact, 3 years later, I tried to reopen this clothing brand, and it still didn't work because the idea was dead. And trying to reopen that wound, or trying to re-succeed at something that already failed, was not going to work. And this, in a way, made me shy away from the fear of trying something. I didn't want to try anything. Putting myself out there, showing myself to the world. I went on this, for instance, this fitness journey, right? I I I did a lot. I did as much as I could. And I started in 2017, I think late 2019. I started to see some results. And I was really overweight. I was obese. Matter of fact, I think I was morbidly obese. And now, 2025, I'm at the edge of having, a six-pack abs. Like, I am the healthiest I've ever been in my entire life. I'm strong. And because I kept failing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again without saying, I give up. Failing is not what you truly think it is. You only truly fail when you sit down and you give up and you don't try again. Succeeding is trying over and over and over again. That's true success. Refusing to give up, refusing to allow life to beat you into submission. The problem is we don't allow ourselves to fail because we've been told that failing is wrong, failing is bad, and it's not. Now, the other thing that we rarely realize is we're always waiting for this perfect moment, and that's a myth. This is the myth, the perfect moment. There is no ideal time to start. Oh, well, the market's bad. Oh, well, the supply chain, and oh, well, I just don't have the money. No, start. Start horribly, start imperfectly, start without any dollars, start because the best time to start is now, right now, this very moment. And even though I've delayed, my own timeline, I've delayed my own future, I've delayed and stunted my own growth by not starting, I can tell you from experience, from somebody who has done it himself, there's no perfect time to start. Waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions becomes a trap that you allow yourself to fall into. It's a cage that you build around yourself with excuses after excuse after excuse after excuse. You say, oh, well, today's not a good day. I'm just too busy. Or, oh, today's not a good day. I was so busy yesterday that I'm just so tired from that. Or, oh, I worked out really hard, so I just can't do it today. So I'll do it next week. Oh, next week got really busy. I had an emergency come up. And then you have weeks in line. And then you have months. And then you have years. And guess what? You never started the podcast. You never started the painting. You never started the dancing lessons. And that's the problem. Do it while you have the chance. Fuck up early and fuck up often. I'm going to say that again. Fuck up early and fuck up often. So that way you have a few fuck ups under your belt, right? You know what a fuck up looks like. You know what it starts to, you know the pattern when it starts to fuck up. You're like, oh shit, it's fucking up. And then you can course correct. The whole point about starting is so that you can get your sea legs, my guy. Or gal, depending who's listening. I can't stress enough how doing something, getting it done, is better than having the perfect mindset. Having something accomplished, putting minutes, hours, days, weeks on the fucking clock, putting that notch in your belt, because that's what experience is. Do you remember the first time you rode your bike? I do. And even with training wheels, I'll be honest with you, I fell the fuck off. I hurt myself. But you know what my dad made me do? He said, get the fuck back on. And I did. Scraped and bruised. Because my dad didn't believe in you know, knee pads or elbow pads or a helmet for that matter. You just wiped yourself off. And you got back on that bike and you kept pedaling. And that's what you have to do. There's no safety net for life. There's no get ready or be ready with life. That's what happens when you're born. That's why your parents are there to protect you, but they're as powerless as you are. Because when it really comes down to you, no one can protect you. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect moment. The moment is now. It's always now. It'll never stop being now. Another thing that most people don't realize, and I'll say it myself, is that there's this romanticizing. Like, you have this moment that you play in your mind. I've done it too, where I'm like, for instance, like this podcast that I'm trying to start, right? I romanticize this scene where I'm next to my co-host and we're both full of energy, and it's this warm glow of studio lights on us, and we have the perfect mic set up, and we have a cup of Joe, right, just steaming, and we're laughing, and then it's a highlight reel of our perfect moments together, and then we have our sponsors, and we have this wonderful studio, and and it's just this romanticizing that I have in my mind of like the perfect start. But no one starts that way. Not unless you're a celebrity or some sort of mogul who can just sit down, buy all the perfect equipment, and immediately have, not only followers, but, you know, um, sponsors, because people line up for celebrity sponsors. So if you're a Joe Blow nobody like myself, Jeremiah Adams, and you just want to start a project, whether it be an Instagram profile and making shirts, or selling your art online, or singing some weird songs, or being the next rapper or YouTuber or TikToker, or gaming streamer, realize you're only getting older. You're only passing through time, and it's only getting later. The days add up, the weeks add up, and the months add up. So you can't just sit here and have that vision and wait for that perfect moment as well. The difference between dreaming about starting and actually doing it is taking that first step. Sitting down, having a plan of action, and putting that plan in order, and then pressing the fucking record button. And that's what I'm doing today. I mean, honestly, this has been a long time coming, and I'm disappointed that I don't get to do it with the people I love. I'm disappointed I don't get to do it with the people that I care about. I'm sad that I don't get to do it with people that I know. but I'm grateful that I get to do it. I'm still alive, I'm still here, and somebody, maybe even you, are going to hear this message and say, you know what? Today's the day I'm going to do my thing. See, the thing is that we're not put on this planet to just do somebody else's work. Yes, have a job. Do what it takes to make money and support your family, or make money and support yourself, and do some good in the world, right? But also do some good in the world for yourself. Do some good in your world. Because life's short. And dreaming about it and having this idea in your mind isn't enough. You're going to feel like you're not doing enough. And that feeling is going to stay with you. It's going to haunt you until you do something about it. And that's why I'm excited. I'm probably hot right now, but that's why I'm excited to share this message with you, because for me, this has been a long time coming. I know I said that already, but you, the listener, have no idea how long I've been waiting to talk to you about this, to just say something and be heard, to have my voice echo through history. Because I hope that Spotify is around for a very long time, longer than I am on this planet. And I hope that this finds the ears or the hearts that it needs to find, because I'm not alone, and neither are you. And honestly, when we come together with the same kind of mindset and the same type of feelings, life changes for the better. And that's why I hope to, I know I'm getting preachy, but that's what I hope to accomplish here. That's what I hope to change, is the hearts and minds of people. Because we spend so much time thinking about ourselves and everything else, the planet, but we rarely think about our lives and the others around us. And to care about the person next to you, to care about, the person across the street from you, or the person in the next car from you, is to care about yourself just as much. When you hold the door open for that lady or for that old gentleman, you're doing that for yourself as well. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox, but honestly, you have to start messy. You have to start doing your projects messily. You have to feel like it's awkward, and you have to kind of get your footing. It's like when you first wake up, you know, you step out of bed, and you stand up on your feet, and your body's coming back to life, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna hurt sometimes, because when you're my age, everything hurts, but not as much as expectations can hurt momentum. Let me say that again. Starting often feels mundane and awkward and messy and a little scary, right? Like it's scary to start something new. And it hurts. But not as much as expectations can hurt momentum. You have to get out of your own head, get out of your comfort zone, and just burst through the fucking doors. But that's, honestly, I've made that mistake too, where I've started something and I don't know what I'm doing, and I've failed with my little brand that I wanted to start, right? So then you get scared, and you're like, oh, I can't do that again. There was real money on the line. I invested my own money into my own business, and printed my own shirts and apparel and bags and shorts and beanies. And when people didn't buy all of them up like I thought they would, I was stuck with inventory, and I felt, oh, I'm a failure. And my wife's like, shut it down. I'm like, but I have dreams and aspirations and expectations. Well, it's not going to work. It's not always going to work. You may have the vision, but not everybody else does. But as long as you say, hey, you know what? I tried. I fucking tried. And that's what I'm saying, is I tried. And yeah, it may not have worked out like I tried. It may not have worked out the way I expected. But once again, expectations can hurt momentum. If you have these high expectations about your performance and you're not living up to that, or you're afraid to try because you won't live up to it, then guess what? You're not going to ever do it. And that's one thing that I want to cover as well, is the first step sucks. Like, the first step always sucks. And that's okay. Like, the first step is going to be, it's going to be, awkward and clumsy, right? But that's fine. You have to take that first step. Your first version is supposed to be bad. Like, great example. And maybe if I find it, I'll post it on social media somewhere. But my mom has this book of drawings that I used to do as a kid, and one of my first drawings was of Mickey Mouse, and I cannot tell you how bad it was. To be completely honest with you, it was horrendous. Like, Mickey Mouse looked like a weird Picasso painting, but it was my first drawing, and I was 2 or 3, I think. She claims I was 2 or 3 when I did it, but she said I was damn good for my age, and it was damn good for, my first drawing, or my first, piece of art. Anybody ever skateboarded? If you ever skateboarded, you know damn good and well that your first attempt is going to be a catastrophe. It's going to be a nightmare. Matter of fact, if you've never skateboarded in your life and you decide to step on a skateboard, you're going to fall on your ass and bust your shit. Starting anything can feel ugly or be freeing. I remember when I first started skateboarding, I was pretty good with balance. Riding the board, getting on it, and just pushing it, coasting. That was great. I did really well. But the very first time I did it, I tried to kick, push, and I got on, and the board flew from underneath my feet. I fell back. I hit my head on concrete. I'm pretty sure I was concussed. But once again, I got back up and just walked it off. I probably should have gone to the hospital in hindsight. But, hindsight's 2020. But it was ugly. But for a rare moment, I really thought I could do it. I really thought I was going to be able to just get on and ride. But the whole point of that is the whole point of saying that is to tell you that, you're not going to be perfect right out the gate. Not unless by some miracle you just have this innate ability, which is talent, mind you. Some people just have talent. But even the most talented people born with that specific gift still sucked a little. They weren't perfect. But no one ever shows the hustle, no one ever shows the grind, no one ever shows the heartache and the amount of hours and days and weeks and months that it takes to get to that perfect, right? So that's why you have to understand the first step is always going to suck. But there is a lot to say about what you learn just by starting. Just by starting alone. there are unexpected lessons from the early stages, like, you know, for instance, drawing. That's one thing I can honestly give you insight into, is that how you hold your pencil or your pen, how you curve and draw the lines, how you you know adjust the paper, or the amount of lighting that you have, the amount of shading that you have on your paper, the type of pencils you use, or the type of pens you use, um, the the pen strokes, right? See, like, this is a very good example. I'm in my car, I'm doing this podcast, and that alarm goes off in my car. And I'm like, oh God, no. But this is my first podcast. And I don't care. I don't care that it's going to be in the background, pinging like that for my first podcast. Because, truth be told, I kept having this moment in my mind of, like, I'm going to have a studio, I'm going to have a setup, I'm going to have this wonderful microphone, and I'm going to have at least 3 or 4 solid people there, like my friends or my family, who are going to hold it down and help me invest and do this right? But everybody has their own agenda. Everybody has their own timeline. So you got to just start. And that was a great moment to kind of unpack there. Like, you heard it, my car going off in my podcast. So now I'm just like, oh, there we go. Now, one thing that people do, or most people make the mistake of, is like, I'm just gonna plan and plan and plan and plan. I'll tell you this: the one thing about failure that has gripped me and molded me, especially even at the gym. Like, I won't even begin to tell you. Like, there's so much you can learn from failure at the gym, but just in general, failure teaches you a lot faster than planning does. Because the moment you do something and it goes shit balls to the wall, you're like, that's not going to work. And guess what? You learned. You learned that you can't touch fire. Guess what? You learned that you can't do a kickflip, because sometimes that board's going to go right up your crack. Needless to say, it's a great way to find out of what not to do, right? But you learn fast. And guess what? You have a plan on how not to fuck it up, right? So failure teaches faster than planning. And sometimes just doing the thing recklessly, clumsily, you know, and doing it as quickly as possible just teaches you how to fail and succeed all at the same time. So there's a magic in there. There's just some sort of, like, witchcraft in there that teaches you, hey, try something, do it, be bad at it for, a couple of tries, but learn from it. Learn from it. What you discover after you took the leap will basically be the way you fly. Now, for instance, one mistake I'll never make again is that when running a business, like, well, let's just say like the t-shirts, um, I will never order more than a certain amount and then expect it to sell all at once. Like, I will underestimate rather than overestimate. That was my problem. I overestimated. I had way too much inventory, and I couldn't move it because it wasn't selling the way I wanted it to. And another thing I should have done was poured a little bit more money into advertisement. It's better to make people wait for something that they really, really want than make them think they really want it, right? So if they really want it, they would order whatever it is that they're trying to order, and then, wait for it. I was so afraid to fail in the public eye by being like, "Oh, I'm out of stock," or we sold out. I wanted to have so much inventory that I could just pour it out to you. It's just like, you want it? You want it tomorrow? Sure. And just hammer it out. And I screwed up. Did I learn? Absolutely. Will I do it again the wrong way? No. And that's the process. Now, one thing that you have to realize is that it's so much easier starting over than it is starting fresh. Starting from scratch or starting over is worlds of a difference. Now you have to understand, are you starting from scratch or are you starting from experience? And you have to bring to the table like what previous failures actually give you an edge. It's like when you play a game over and over again, one of those games that you have to pass a certain boundary, right? You run into the boss, then you go left and you get stomped on by his big giant foot. So instead of doing that on the next time, you go right. And instead of getting stomped on, you get to pass under him and hit him from behind and knock him down, and you win the game, right? Now, that's exactly how life works, except if you die in this life, you're dead. So you can't start over from death. But what I'm trying to say is you can start over from failure. In a way, failure is a restart button. Because you can start over with the knowledge of what not to do. And that's why previous failures actually give you an edge. Previous failures give you this perspective on life that you actually need. So, needless to say, failing isn't necessarily bad. Yeah, it sucks in the moment because you had high expectations of yourself and you wanted to do good. Everybody wants to do good. No one wants to fail initially. I still don't want to fail. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this podcast. And I see myself in the future doing this podcast in front of, that wonderful microphone setup in a big room with studio lights and a willing participant, someone who's going to bounce off of ideas off of me and vice versa, and we're going to have banter and enjoy good times and laughter and you know maybe have a sponsor or two in the middle of the show. But you have to have that vision, but you also have to have a start. No one starts perfectly. And that's the whole point of this first episode, this first show, or this first, podcast. Now, if there's one piece of advice you can give to your past self, what would it be? Now, I know what I would tell myself before I started. I would say, don't give up. There have been so many times in my life where I've given up. I sat down and I accepted defeat. And as embarrassing as it is to say, I hated myself for that. And this is an honest moment. You can't fake this. I'm being 100% genuine with you, the listener. Between me and you, I know this is going to be everywhere, but for me, I gave up. I accepted defeat. And I said, fine, I'll stop. I did that more than once. But I never quit on family. I never quit on friends. The friends that I have now, well, those are going to be those friends that stick around for life. I don't have a lot because my circle is small. But the people that choose me and I choose back, those are those people that are going to stick around. The family that I choose, the people that are in my life, that's going to be forever. And I will not give up on that. Not to mention, I will not give up on me. Yes, I know I'm 39. And maybe 50-year-old Jeremiah is looking back like, dude, you're young. But right now I feel old. And I feel like, well, what's the point? You're already past your prime. No, you're not. And to anybody else out there who's thinking about doing something, whether you're 39 or 49 or even 59, you are not past your prime. There's no such thing. Matter of fact, if you're older, you probably have way more experience. Good on you. And if you're young, you have perspective, fresh perspective. Good on you. But do the thing that makes you happy. Do the thing that you want to do, because there is a finite amount of time you get to grace this beautiful planet of ours. There is a finite amount of time that you get to open your eyes each day. You only get a certain amount of days, and one day your eyes will not open. One day you will not be on this planet. So please, encourage yourself to grow and to start and to start again and to start again. Because it's crushing to fail. And I say that from a professional failure. From that standpoint, from that perspective. I'm a professional failure. And it sucks. But will I do it again? Absolutely. Will I do it again and again and again? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because that's life. The sun can't stay up in the sky forever. It has to come down. It has to set. That's the way it works. That's my advice to myself. My advice to you, don't take my advice. Do what works for you. What do you wish you knew? And what were you glad you didn't know? So that's one thing you need to ask yourself. What is it that you wish you knew, and what is it that you were glad that you didn't know? Does that make sense? Like, for instance, I wish I knew business a little bit better, right? I wish I had some sort of business mindset or business perspective. Because I'll be honest with you, there are some like tax loopholes, and there's, a lot of business savviness out there that I have yet to grasp, that I'd like to know more about, right? But there are some things I'm glad I didn't know, and I'm glad I didn't know how painful it was to start a business and how soul sucking it can be. Because if someone told me and discouraged me from doing it, I would have never tried. I would have never reached for that. And that in itself is a shame. That in itself is depressing. So I'm glad I did it anyways. And I'm glad I didn't know how difficult it can be. But two, I wish I knew more about business, right? So that way I can make money and, do whatever it is that I want to do and have freedom in every way in my life that I could have. I don't have freedom right now. That's the one thing I'm lacking. And I would love to have freedom, right? Just not sit in an office all day, or not have to work overnight, or whatever it is that you do to earn a check, to earn a living, to make some moolah, right? Whatever it is that, that you're doing, whether you're sorting parts in a warehouse, or whether you drive for a living, or whether you sell cars for a living. That's not the thing you were meant to do. That's not the thing you were put on this planet to do. And if you feel that, do it. Do something different. Do something that ignites your passion. But if you like what you're doing and you don't care, you don't have, you know, um, you don't have that hole that you feel in your heart that something's missing, then good for you too. Maybe your role on this planet is to do exactly what you're doing right now. But if you feel like something in your life is missing and you have a purpose, everyone has a purpose, but you have some other purpose, something else to fill your plate with, then do that. Lean into it, steer into it. That's one thing I can honestly tell you, is that it's not ever a mistake to invest in yourself. It's not ever a mistake to give yourself the time to learn and grow and the opportunity to fail. It's never a mistake to reach for that star, because this is the one life you're gonna get. This is it. And then you're dead. You die. You're done. End game. You know what I mean? Like, over. Game over. So just don't give up on yourself and continue to grow. Now, that's my encouragement for you guys. Hell, it's even encouragement for me. I feel more motivated to do more episodes and to sit in front of this microphone that I'm in front of right now and to talk to you. And I hope that you're listening, and I hope that you continue to listen, because if you like what you're listening to right now, if you like this first episode, it isn't completely trash or garbage, please, you know, consider listening again, or follow me on Spotify, or whatever it is. Follow me on Instagram or whatever, or TikTok. But I'll be honest with you, this is where you're going to get the most of me, is right here on this podcast. So please, just do me a favor and don't give up on yourself, and keep reaching, and start something today. Start something today, because if you don't do it today, you won't do it tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, you'll never do it. So yeah, that's the podcast. That's the whole shebang. That's the whole enchilada. And here I was, waiting for the perfect moment to start, waiting for the entirety of everything to come together, the planets to align, for everything to start. So I'll be honest with you, was it worth waiting for? No. Don't wait. Don't wait any longer. There's not going to be a perfect moment. There's not going to be, this perfect time to do something. You just have to do it. You just have to do it and get it over with and get it done with. And you have a notch under your belt. You have one episode in. You have one painting done. One drawing done. And if you don't, and you fail, and you don't get that podcast done, you don't get that drawing done, you don't get that painting done, and you fall on your ass, guess what? You just get yourself back up, dust yourself off, and try again. I'm Jeremiah. That's the way I see it.